how switches work and which do I need. To better understand the type of switch your home or office will need, let's talk about the technology that makes network switches work. Switches work using store and forward technology, meaning they store the MAC addresses of connected devices to determine where to send the information you requested. A MAC address is unique to your device's network card and is used on the network level to identify your device. This information is stored on the switch in a table of all the MAC addresses on the network and the corresponding ports. If the switch gets a frame from a new device, it does a broadcast and asks all the devices on the network, have you seen device A? But once the switch finds this device, it is stored by the switch. And the next time it gets a message from device A, it sends that information directly to the device. Previously, hubs would send frames or messages to all the devices whenever they receive new information, and the intended recipient would accept the transmission, while all other devices ignored it. This caused a lot of traffic and made the networks run slower. And it was insecure because you could easily configure a device to eavesdrop on other devices. Switches, on the other hand, learn the MAC addresses and send the traffic to the correct device. This makes the network more efficient and reduces unnecessary traffic. Now that we know more about how switches work, let's talk a little bit about the two types of switches, managed or unmanaged switches, and then we'll discuss a little bit about which one you'd want. Unmanaged switches are ideal for networks that need to be plug and play, while managed switches have a configuration page that allows you to add additional security features at the network and switch levels. We'll dive much deeper into this and have one video on each of these topics later in the series. But first, let's provide a quick overview of the two. Managed switches offer more security settings in your local network, including our DOS prevention settings. DOS, or denial of service attacks, aim to overwhelm a computer, switch, or server, so it becomes unresponsive. These attacks work by sending too much traffic or improperly formatted traffic and cause the device to become unresponsive. On Intellinet switches, we have a DOS attack prevention page that protects you from common DOS attacks at your network level. One example of this type of attack is a ping flood or ping of death attack. These are two denial of service attacks that use ping to overwhelm a switch. Ping is usually used to see if a device is online, and it sends a basic hello message, to which the device responds, yes, I'm here. Attackers, however, can manipulate this protocol to confuse devices on the network by sending ping traffic that is too large or not properly formatted. Imagine if thousands of trucks arrive at your office. This is what happens in a ping attack. The device tries to respond to each delivery, confirm the receipt, and in the process it gets overwhelmed. Now the device is occupied with this mountain of data. It can't process any new information, and it stops receiving. With DOS attack protection settings, the switch can limit the size of the ping request to less than 512 kilobytes. Since the usual attack size is greater than 65,000 kilobytes, this will block these type of attacks. Some of your devices likely already have some protections against these type of attacks, so it's always important to update them and keep all of your devices at the most recent operating system. However, you can use a managed switch to add a layer of protection against ping-based and denial of service attacks on your network. Intellinet managed switches can also allow you to lock a particular port to a MAC address, so only one MAC address can use that port. If someone disconnects that computer, the new user can't access the internet and can't communicate with devices on the VLAN. This is a common vulnerability on the network level, where one user can disconnect a cable and plug in an unauthorized computer at another user's desk. They can then try to access the network and devices that weren't intended for them. Binding a port to a MAC address works at the most basic level. The unauthorized user can't get to the network, and any unwanted access is stopped and can be reported. So what about an unmanaged switch? An unmanaged switch is simple plug and play. You don't have any additional configurations, and security can be handled by another device, like a dedicated firewall or your home router, which has these features built in. Here at Intellinet, we have an unmanaged switches, like this one here, that are the best of both worlds. They offer VLAN isolation by moving a simple switch. This means each port is essentially its own VLAN, and cameras or computers can't see the devices on other ports. Physically, this means that the camera on port 7 can't see the camera on port 5. This is a simple way to create security in the network, because if someone gets into one of your cameras, they can't see the others. On an unmanaged switch, there are no settings. So once you connect it to your network, it works plug and play with no hassle. You want an unmanaged switch so people outside of your IT team can add to the network when you don't need advanced security features. Unmanaged switches are ideal for home or small office environments or for camera networks. To recap, switches store the MAC addresses of connected devices and then send the right information to the right computer. Both managed and unmanaged switches use store and forward technology. With a managed switch, you have more options to configure security at a switch level, whereas with an unmanaged switch, you have ease of configuration and little to no setup. If you have a more complex network and need VLAN tags or need to change the switch's default IP address, you want a managed switch to take advantage of these advanced features. An unmanaged switch, on the other hand, will be perfect for your network if you want ease of use and a plug-and-play system and don't need any advanced security settings or VLANs. Thank you for choosing Intellinet. If you have any additional questions about a device before making a purchase or need help configuring a device, please contact us at our technical support number below, which is 888-844-2636. Thank you and have a great day.